people being selfish and ignoring the regulations, one of whom in the papers today is Stephen Kinnock, who drove all the way from Wales, his constituency, to London to give Niel Kinnock, his famous former Labour leader father, a birthday treat. He claims he was taking as well essential items, but it does strike me that this is pretty selfish behaviour by an MP. It's my birthday today. I don't expect any of my family to rock up, much as my mother, I'm sure, would like to. What was your reaction when you saw this?
I mean, I've only seen it this morning, but I think that we have to be careful before we sort of tar people as if they're doing the wrong thing. We don't know the situation for his family and how much he felt he had to go and see his father for whatever reason. My father lives around the corner. He's isolating for 12 weeks. He has cancer and he's nearly 80. And I know that sometimes I feel I have to go over there and give him essential items. But I think that the broad point is that, you know, we all have to be doing things that we don't currently like. A woman in my constituency whose husband died of corona last week is currently not seeing her kids because she feels frightened of exposing them. And there is a huge amount of heartbreak and separation from families. But I think we should be careful before we judge people, before we know the entire story about what might be going on.
I mean, all we can judge him on is the picture he tweeted himself, which just showed a rather happy scene of them sitting, you know, 2 metres apart, having a bit of a birthday celebration. And that was how he sold it on his Twitter feed until the police said, actually, driving for hundreds of miles to and from London to do that is not in the spirit of this thing. I think my point, Isabel, would be that, you know, whatever the reasons, it looked perfectly like a normal little happy get-together, and that is against the spirit right now of what we're being told to do.
I actually disagree with you. I'm sorry, what is the problem with being happy? Things are hard enough at this point.
It's not about being happy.
The point you're making is
hang on. It's not about being happy. It's about whether an MP, given the lockdown that we've been told to be in, for anything that's non-essential, it's whether an MP, whose father led the Labour Party, whether he should get in a car, drive hundreds of miles, presumably having to fill up at a petrol station with all the potential risk of passing on infection. Well, hang on, let me finish my point, and then I'll hear the counter-argument. But whether an MP should do all that and then just post a nice, happy picture, fine. I've got no problem with it wishing his dad happy birthday, but why couldn't he do that on Skype or video like everybody else is doing?
Well, for a start, I think we have to maintain some sense of proportion here. The important thing is he didn't get on public transport. There is no actual extra risk to anyone if you are travelling in your own car or with members of your own
Until you have to fill up your tank, right? We
don't know whether he had to fill up or not. That's pure speculation.
It's a long way from Wales to London if you don't fill up your petrol tank.
Well, it's look, we don't know. Perhaps he wore gloves, whatever. As Jess said, we don't know what the circumstances of the family are, why Mr. Kinnock felt it was essential to do that. But I think it's pointless to focus on that particular example. The broader point is the vast majority of people are not being idiots. The vast majority of people are sticking to the rules. And look, we've got to maintain public consent for this. If we're going to have an army of vigilantes constantly criticising and snooping and looking out whether their neighbours have had one walk extra or not, we are going to lose public consent. And at that point, the whole
thing... It's
not
about that, though. Kevin, I mean, it's not about, actually, I don't think, over-vigilant people. It's about idiots like Jack Grealish, the England footballer, who goes to an all-night party at a mate's house, right, apparently very loud all night long until 8 a.m, gets in a car, crashes into various other cars, right? This is classic bad footballer behaviour, right? And I'm not meant to denigrate all footballers, this is a bad example, but this is so selfish and reckless. And I'm sorry, yes, we do need to be vigilant about people like this because they're the ones who are going to be spreading this virus around. There was a karaoke party in Derby, just up the road from where the first frontline ENT surgeon died
25
yesterday.
people were said
and at the same time that he was dying of coronavirus, people were having a 25-strong party at home. I mean, it's not about being a vigilante. It's about stopping people being selfish, reckless idiots.
It is, and we all have to take some personal responsibility. But I think the karaoke party and Jack Grealish, who has a record of bad behaviour and has serious questions to answer now, are very different to Stephen Kinnock. And I think most people, we have to cut them a bit of slack.
I don't think we should. I don't think we should. I don't think you can have a situation where the country is being told to stay in and to stay home unless it's essential, and then you allow MPs to travel hundreds of miles just to wish their parents a happy birthday. I'd love to see my parents. They're down in Sussex, self-isolating. I would love to go down there and sit, 3 feet away, but I'm not doing that because I believe that is a risk. And I don't think MPs... I'm sorry. I know some people are defending Stephen Kinnock and what he did. I'm sorry. Without an absolutely clear confirmation of what this essential trip was all about, if it's just to say happy birthday, he shouldn't have done it.
As Jess Phillips said, we don't know everything. And I don't want to invade her privacy, but I know his mother, Glenys, hasn't been well. He's not said that. He's gone to see his father.
OK, well, listen.
Taken supplies. So I think all over the country, people will be doing things that others will say, you shouldn't be doing that. But if they're socially distancing, they're not going out more than they really have to, I think what's the big deal? It's not infected anybody.
So just to clarify then, the position of this panel, eminently intelligent people, is that anyone who wants to travel hundreds of miles to say happy birthday to a relative can do it. Is that your position collectively?
If it's your
and if that's not your position, then you should be tougher, I think, on what Stephen Kinnock did. Because if MPs do it, everyone will do it. So when Boris Johnson 3 weeks ago was telling us all, shake everybody's hand, right?
Could you assume that some of us...
Go on, Jess?
Could you assume that some of us know a little bit more about their family than perhaps you do, and assume that perhaps our concern in this particular instance, well, I don't think that they should have posted the picture on Twitter. I totally agree with you on that. However, I think that they were probably just trying to spread a bit of cheer.
But Jess, we'd all like to do that. That's my point. Everybody would like to spread a bit of cheer with their family right now. It's tough times, but if we're not all in this together... And I don't want to single out Stephen Kinnock. He's a nice guy. I like Niel Kinnock. Huge respect for him. I'm sure the family have issues. Every family has issues. Everybody would like to have their situation be different, them to be the exception. It's OK for me. And if we have that attitude, it's not going to work, is my opinion. You only go out of your house if you absolutely have an essential need to do so. That's the government advice. Going hundreds of miles to say happy birthday to your dad, in my opinion, is not an essential thing to be doing.
But he has clarified and said that he was dropping off essential things. And again, I'm not going to breach the confidences of anybody because it's not my place to do so. Yeah. But I don't think that they would have gone if they didn't feel that it was essential to do it. I know exactly how they feel. I feel I'm in exactly the same situation. However, I think that it's been a PR disaster. I don't doubt that. But nobody is asking for any exception, and they followed exactly the current government advice